The concept of hard healthy food has evolved over centuries, shaped by cultural practices, scientific discoveries, and changing dietary patterns. Below is a comprehensive history of hard healthy food, tracing its roots from ancient diets to modern nutritional science, with a focus on foods recognized for supporting cardiovascular health. Ancient and traditional diets, pre-1800s. Early human diets. Early humans consumed diets rich in whole, unprocessed foods like lean meats, fish, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables. These diets were naturally low in saturated fats and high in fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidants, which are now known to benefit heart health. Example: hunter-gatherer diets included fish, rich in omega-3s, and wild plants, which provided heart protective nutrients. Ancient civilizations. Mediterranean region, 3000 BCE 500 CE. The diets of ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians emphasized olive oil, whole grains, legumes, fruits, and vegetables. Fish was a staple in coastal areas. These foods align closely with what we now call the Mediterranean diet, which is widely recommended for heart health. Asia, 2000 BCE 1000 CE. Traditional Asian diets, particularly in regions like China and Japan, included rice, vegetables, soy products, e.g., tofu, and fish. Green tea, rich in antioxidants, was consumed widely in East Asia and is now linked to reduced cardiovascular risk. Indigenous cultures. Many indigenous diets, such as those of Native Americans, relied on corn, beans, squash, and wild game. These foods were low in unhealthy fats and high in fiber, supporting heart health. Key insight: ancient diets were inadvertently heart healthy due to their reliance on whole, minimally processed foods and low intake of refined sugars and trans fats. 19th century. Early understanding of nutrition. Rise of nutritional science. The 19th century marked the beginning of scientific inquiry into food and health. Scientists like Justus von Liebig, 1803–1873, began studying the chemical composition of food, laying the groundwork for understanding macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Dietary shifts. Industrialization led to increased consumption of refined grains, sugars, and processed meats in Western countries. These changes began to raise concerns about health, though heart disease was not yet a major focus. Early observations. Physicians noted that wealthier populations, consuming diets high in fatty meats and low in vegetables, had higher rates of apoplexy, strokes, and heart issues, though the link to diet was not fully understood. Early 20th century. Emergence of heart disease as a public health issue. Rise in heart disease. By the early 1900s, heart disease became a leading cause of death in industrialized nations due to changes in lifestyle, including sedentary behavior, smoking, and diets high in saturated fats and refined carbohydrates. Initial research. In 1913, Russian scientist Nikolai Anichkov conducted experiments showing that cholesterol-rich diets caused atherosclerosis in rabbits, providing early evidence of the link between diet and heart disease. The term heart-healthy diet wasn't used, but physicians began advising moderation in fatty foods and alcohol. Cultural diets. Traditional diets like the Mediterranean and Japanese diets continued to be consumed in their respective regions, with lower rates of heart disease compared to Western nations. Mid-20th century. Scientific breakthroughs in the Mediterranean diet. Framingham Heart Study, 1948. This landmark U.S. study identified key risk factors for heart disease, including high cholesterol, hypertension, and smoking. It emphasized the role of diet in controlling cholesterol levels, sparking interest in heart-healthy foods. In Cell Keys in the Mediterranean diet. In the 1950s, American physiologist Cell Keys launched the 7 countries study, which compared diets and heart disease rates across nations. He found that populations in Mediterranean countries, e.g., Greece, Italy, had lower rates of heart disease, attributed to their diets rich in olive oil, fish, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and moderate wine consumption. Keys popularized the Mediterranean diet, which became a cornerstone of heart-healthy eating. Key foods identified. Fish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, found to reduce inflammation and lower triglycerides. Olive oil, high in monounsaturated fats, which improve cholesterol profiles. Fruits and vegetables, packed with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, which reduce blood pressure and oxidative stress. Whole grains, linked to lower cholesterol and better blood sugar control. Nuts and seeds provide healthy fats and fiber. Low-fat movement. By the 1960s, the American Heart Association, AHA, began advocating low-fat diets to reduce heart disease risk, emphasizing reducing saturated fats from red meat and dairy. Late 20th century. Refining heart-healthy guidelines. Cholesterol and fat debates. In the 1970s-1980s, dietary cholesterol, e.g., from eggs, was heavily scrutinized, leading to recommendations to limit cholesterol-rich foods. Later research showed that dietary cholesterol has a smaller impact on blood cholesterol than previously thought. The focus shifted to types of fat. Saturated fats, found in butter, red meat, were linked to higher LDL, bad cholesterol, while unsaturated fats, in fish, nuts, olive oil, were deemed heart protective. Dietary guidelines. The U.S. Dietary Guidelines, first published in 1980, emphasized reducing total fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol while increasing fiber-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. The AHA and World Health Organization, WHO, promoted diets low in sodium to manage blood pressure, a major risk factor for heart disease. Functional foods. Foods like oats, rich in beta-glucan, which lowers cholesterol, and soy products gained attention as heart-healthy options. The 1990s saw the rise of functional foods, fortified with heart-protective nutrients, such as margarine with plant sterols. Diet, 1990s. The dietary approaches to stop hypertension, diet was developed to lower blood pressure, emphasizing fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, low-fat dairy, and reduced sodium. It became a widely recommended heart-healthy eating plan. 21st century. Modern understanding of heart-healthy diets. Refined recommendations. Saturated versus unsaturated fats. Research clarified that replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats, e.g., olive oil, avocados, is more effective for heart health than simply reducing all fats. Trans fats, found in processed foods, were identified as particularly harmful and largely phased out in many countries by the 2010s. Cholesterol reassessed. By the 2010s, dietary cholesterol, e.g., from eggs, was deemed less critical for most people, leading to updated guidelines that removed strict cholesterol limits. Sugar and processed carbs. Added sugars and refined carbohydrates were linked to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, prompting recommendations to limit sugary drinks and processed foods. Mediterranean diet dominance. The Mediterranean diet gained widespread acceptance as the gold standard for heart health, backed by studies like the PREDIMED trial, 2013, which showed it reduced cardiovascular events by 30% in high-risk individuals. Plant-based diets. Vegetarian and vegan diets gained popularity for heart health due to their low saturated fat and high fiber content. Studies showed that plant-based diets could reduce heart disease risk by up to 25%. Personalized nutrition. Advances in genetics and microbiome research led to interest in personalized diets tailored to individual heart health needs, though this is still an emerging field. Key heart-healthy foods today. Fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, omega-3s reduce inflammation and arrhythmias. Nuts, almonds, walnuts, provide healthy fats, fiber, and vitamin E. Berries, high in antioxidants like anthocyanins, which reduce oxidative stress. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, rich in nitrates, which improve blood vessel function. Whole grains, oats, quinoa, lower cholesterol and improve heart health. Legumes, beans, lentils, high in fiber and protein, low in unhealthy fats. Dark chocolate, in moderation, contains flavonoids that may improve blood flow. Global impact. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death globally, but adoption of heart-healthy diets has contributed to declining heart disease rates in some countries. For example, U.S. heart disease deaths dropped by 68% from 1969 to 2019, partly due to better diets and medical advances. Cultural and social influences. Food accessibility. Access to heart-healthy foods like fresh produce and fish varies by region and socioeconomic status, impacting global adoption of these diets. Public health campaigns. Organizations like the AHA, WHO, and national health agencies have promoted heart-healthy eating through campaigns, food labeling, and school nutrition programs. Food industry. The food industry has responded with heart-healthy products, such as low-sodium snacks and omega-3 fortified foods, though some are criticized for being overly processed. Current guidelines, 2025. American Heart Association, 2021 guidelines, still relevant. Emphasize fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Limit sodium, less than 2,300 milligrams per day, ideally 1,500 milligrams, added sugars, and processed meats. Encourage plant-based eating patterns and moderate alcohol consumption. WHO recommendations. Increase intake of fruits, vegetables, and unsaturated fats. Reduce saturated fats, less than 10% of total energy, trans fats, less than 1%, and sodium. Emerging trends. Focus on gut health. Probiotics and prebiotics, e.g., from yogurt, fiber-rich foods, may support heart health by reducing inflammation. Sustainable diets. Plant-based diets are promoted for both heart health and environmental sustainability. Challenges and future directions. Challenges. Misinformation about diets, e.g., extreme low-carb or high-fat diets, can confuse consumers. Economic barriers limit access to fresh, heart-healthy foods in low-income communities. Ultra-processed foods, even those marketed as healthy, often contain hidden sodium, sugars, or unhealthy fats. Future directions. Precision nutrition. Advances in AI and genetic testing may allow for highly personalized heart-healthy diets. Policy changes. Governments are increasingly taxing sugary drinks and promoting nutrition education to combat heart disease. Technology. Apps and wearables help individuals track dietary habits and heart health metrics.